Joanne is 35 years old and sitting on a pile of $100,000 of student debt, living in her parents' basement, making a little over minimum wage. She's in the process of paying, but like a parasite on her hard-earned funds, the debt doesn't stop growing. She was going to a prestigious school, decided to take out all the loans offered to her, regardless if she needed the money or not. By the third year, however, she decided that it was not worth gaining any more debt, and without any discouragement from her peers or her college, she went on and dropped out of college with about $60,000 in loans. Carter, on the other hand, was in the same situation as Joanne when he attended college. The loans were starting to pile up, and he felt obligated to drop out of college, believing the debt was going to be too high. Luckily, he did the research and came to the conclusion that in the long run, getting his degree and only accepting the necessary loans would be more beneficial in the long run. Carter now has a solid career, a house, and a loving family. He has shared this story to his peers that are in similar situations as him, empowering others to choose the proper financial decision. Interestingly enough, Joanne's painful reality may be brought about in your life solely from one of the largest issues most teenagers don't even know about. Ironically, I'm not talking about the media-exaggerated so-called student debt crisis. Rather, I'm focusing on its much less well-known cousin named the student misinformation crisis. The main difference between the two is that the student debt crisis highlights the growth of loans, whereas the student misinformation crisis seeks to describe the problem of unnecessary debt and how that is built by misinformation and leaves students with less buying power. From that background, I'd like to invite you to embark on this session to build your financial future, to steer you from the almost invisible potholes that surround rising college students' awareness and to increase your knowledge about the college journey. How do we know the issue is misinformation, and where is it coming from? And how do we solve the problem? For the first question, data on current college students shows their lack of awareness, even for their own financial situation. A study from the Brown Center on Educational Policy at Brookings found that 70% of college students knew their correct financial amount within only 20% of the right number. Astounding, is it not? Breaking down the effects of this study is crucial since it opens up a slew of problems. Out of the 70%, around 50% have an underestimate of their correct financial amount. What this underestimate means is that students are spending money that they don't have, needing more money from loans, and building up this horrendous money vacuuming cycle. As if this form of ignorance wasn't problematic enough, most rising and current college students don't even have knowledge on the true value that an average bachelor's or associate's degree has, with both of them having almost 15% of a return on investment, which is an ROI. So this relates to the widespread myth that Joanne fell for, that it's okay to jump out of college some part of the way simply because too much debt has built up. The proper decisions that factor in the ROI is to take up the necessary debt, which you should in all cases, and fully gain all the positives with a college degree. All in all, this misinformation is extremely problematic since it builds up debt, and for those rising college students, it leaves them with less buying power when they become young adults. And that's just not good for anyone. Now, to answer the question of where is it coming from, what better place to look at than the middlemen of government loans and the college student? Loan servicers and colleges themselves. In the case of loan servicers, the current system set up by the government has private servicers that have no financial incentives to inform students on helpful services since they are provided the same amount of students no matter the job they do. Now, with most colleges, which are on the other side, most attempt to provide information and assist in laying out the foundations for a plan for students. Yet when such large majorities of college students don't know about the long-term effects or risks of certain decisions, there's definitely a problem. Even with the seemingly impenetrable barrier known as misinformation set up in your way, do not be misguided to take up the mantle of college achievement, especially knowing that these issues lie in the knowledge of individuals, which is something solvable through simple understanding of the proper roots of college financial decisioning. And knowledge is power. Misinformation can be countered, so do not fear. You must advocate for making the information clear, concise, motivational, and informative for future students to understand. Also, you need to develop a feeling of personal responsibility and open yourselves up to the idea of knowing how to use that data reliably and spend time to actually apply it all throughout your academic career. Thank you for listening, because your future is an idea worth spreading.